Chapter 5 The Fundamental Unit of Life. While examining a thin slice of cork, Robert Hooke saw that the cork resembled the structure of a honeycomb consisting of many little compartments. Cork is a substance which comes from the bark of a tree. This was in the year 1665 when Hooke made this chance observation through a self-designed microscope. Robert Hooke called these boxes cells. Cell is a Latin word for a little room. So in this way we can see in 1665 Robert Hooke observed cells under a self-designed microscope and he called these boxes cells. And what is the meaning of the word cell? Cell is a Latin word and it means a little room. This may seem to be a very small and insignificant incident, but it is very important in the history of science. This may seem a very small and insignificant, which is not important, but it is a very important incident in the history of science. This was the very first time that someone had observed that living things appear to consist of separate units. This was the first time that someone observed that living things are made up of separate units. The use of word cell to describe these units is being used till this day in biology. The word cell given by Robert Hooke is being still used by us to describe these units. Let us find out about cells. What are living organisms made up of? Let us take a small piece from an onion bulb. With the help of a pair of forceps, we can peel off the skin called epidermis from the concave side inner layer of the onion. This layer can be put immediately in a watch glass containing water. This will prevent the peel from getting folded or getting dry. What do we do with this peel? Let us take a glass slide, put a drop of water on it and transfer a small piece of the peel from the watch glass to the slide. Make sure that the peel is perfectly flat on the slide. A thin camel hair paint brush might be necessary to help transfer the peel. Now we put a drop of saffronin solution on this piece followed by a cover slip. Take care to avoid air bubbles while putting the cover slip with the help of a mounting needle. Ask your teacher for help. We have prepared a temporary mount of onion peel. We can observe this slide under low power followed by high powers of a compound microscope. What do we observe as we look through the lens? Can we draw the structures that we are able to see through the microscope on an observation sheet? Does it look like figure 5.2? Now here in figure 5.2, cells of an onion peel are shown. We can see nucleus and cells are shown. We can try preparing temporary mounts of peels of onions of different sizes. What do we observe? Do we see similar structures or different structures? What are these structures? These structures look similar to each other. Together they form a big structure like an onion bulb. We find from this activity that onion bulbs of different sizes have similar structures visible under a microscope. Here the word similar structures is very important. The cells of the onion peel will all look the same regardless of the size of the onion they came from. These small structures that we see are the basic building units of the onion bulb. These structures are called cells. So here we can say that all the cells of the onion are same. Not only onions but all organisms that we observe around are made up of cells. However, there are also single cells that live on their own. The invention of magnifying lenses led to the discovery of the microscopic world. It is now known that a single cell may constitute a whole organism, as in amoeba. As there are organisms that have many cells, there are organisms that have only a single cell, and it is the amoeba. Amoeba has only one cell, so it is called unicellular organism. Chlamydomonas, paramecium, and bacteria. These organisms are called unicellular organisms. Uni means single. Why are they called unicellular organisms? Because they have only one cell. On the other hand, many cells group together in a single body and assume different functions in it to form various body parts in multicellular organisms. Multicellular organisms means organisms that have many cells, such as some fungi, plants, and animals. Can we find out names of some more unicellular organisms? Every multicellular organism has come from a single cell. How? Cells divide to produce cells of their own kind. All cells thus come from pre-existing cells. It means every multicellular organism has come from a single cell. We can try preparing temporary mounds of leaf peels, tip of roots of onion, or even peels of onions of different sizes. After performing the above activity, let us see what the answers to the following questions would be. Do all cells look alike in terms of shape and size? Do all cells look alike in structure? Could we find differences among cells from different parts of a plant body? What similarities could we find? Some organisms can also have cells of different kinds. Look at the following picture. It depicts some cells from the human body. Here we can see smooth muscle cell, blood cells, nerve cell, bone cell, flat cell, sperm, ovum. These are the various cells from the human body. The shape and size of cells are related to the specific function they perform. It means the shape and size of cells depends on the specific function that they perform. They means here the cells perform specific functions and their shape and size depends on the function they perform. Some cells like amoeba have changing shapes. In some cases, the cell shape could be more or less fixed and peculiar for a particular type of cell. For example, nerve cells have a typical shape. In case of amoeba, the shape of the cell keeps on changing, but in some other, it is fixed and peculiar for a particular type of cell. The shape of the cell does not change. Each living cell has the capacity to perform certain basic functions that are characteristic of all living forms. Each living cell has the capacity. A cell has the power to perform certain basic functions. Cells are the important unit of the body. They have certain functions. They have to perform those functions, and that are the characteristic of all living forms. How does a living cell perform these basic functions? We know that there is a division of labor in multicellular organisms such as human beings. What is meant by division of labor? Division of labor is whatever work is there, it is divided. It is not done by any one organ. This means that different parts of the human body perform different functions. Like the human body has a heart to pump blood, a stomach to digest food, and so on. Similar division of labor is also seen within a single cell, not only in the whole body, but if we consider a small cell, a single cell, in that cell also there are different parts and each part is given its own work. Each part of a cell does its own work, its own function. In fact, each such cell has got certain specific components within it known as cell organelles. What are cell organelles? Cell organelles are specific components. They are the parts, and the parts of a cell are called cell organelles. The different parts of a cell are called cell organelles. Each kind of cell organelle performs a special function, such as making new material in the cell, clearing up the waste material from the cell, and so on. So each and every cell organelle part of the cell has its own function. A cell is able to live and perform all its functions because of these organelles. These organelles together constitute the basic unit called the cell. It is interesting that all cells are found to have the same organelles, no matter what their function is or what organism they are found in. So see what is stated here. It is interesting that all cells are found to have same organelles, means each and every cell has the same type of organelles, not that the organelles in different cells are different. So now let us see what is given further. What is a cell made up of? What is the structural organization of a cell? We saw above that the cell has special components called organelles. How is a cell organized? If we study a cell under a microscope, we would come across three features in almost every cell. In almost every cell there are three features: plasma membrane, nucleus, and cytoplasm. All activities inside the cell and interactions of the cell with its environment are possible due to these features. Let us see how all activities, whatever activities are being carried out inside the cell and interactions of the cell with its environment, means a cell and outside of the cell, the part outside the cell is called environment. Whatever activities that take place inside the cell and interaction the cell with its environment, means give and take of gases with its environment. All this is possible only due to the three features, and they are plasma membrane, nucleus, and cytoplasm. Now let us see plasma membrane or cell membrane in the next video.